Wolverhampton does have a specific identity, we'll call it.
In football as well.
Well, now it does. You know, the owner of Wolves Football Club is it's a Chinese guy. He's got lots of business interests in Portugal. He owns an insurance company. They were going to do a corporate presentation at Digbrew and then go to watch a Wolves game. But then Wolves qualified for something and then it got cancelled. And we were like pulling their pants down. We were like, that's £2,000. And they were like, yes. I'm like, okay, great. £3.
Did you get it?
You know.
No, apparently, the Wolves, they've been like kind of signing a lot of Spanish footballers in the last 5 years and something like that. They kind
like half of Wolves team now Portuguese.
Well, now because they have the Portuguese investor, of course. But like 5 years ago, a lot of people that were going from Spain to the Wolves, like especially like kind of young players that from the kind of Barcelona or Madrid school that they had like no place in the team, they just went there.
Is that because they're called the Wolves, so they sounded cool?
I was always
I think they didn't know what Wolverhampton was.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Wolves should be taken over by like some tasteless billionaire just because they like the idea that it's called Wolves.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah. With this football introduction, we should start talking now about beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shall I say what I said about the radio?
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should say first that we're here in Kilder.
Kilder. After Kilder Kin,
Okay.
which is a very big barrel of beer. I should know how big.
Yeah.
Can I use the internet?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course.
I'll find out.
So here we are in Kilder.
Oh yeah, I had it here, like I'm gonna say Kilda, and I was saying Kilda. I don't know why.
Kilder in, number 5 Shaw's Passage, Birmingham.
And I'm drinking a strawberry fruit sour.
Yeah, that one's orange sour. I think we just got really into sours after Hayther's Revenge.
Yeah, exactly. So we just had a beer made by Digbrew, which was a sour. Also a red sour, but not strawberry. Oh, there was strawberry in it.
There was strawberry in it. The one thing I didn't like about it was the strawberry. I think strawberry's a really weird flavour. But it was fine.
I think it was great. I don't think anyone was expecting the beer to taste like that from the can, because you couldn't see it, obviously, when it was in the can.
Yeah. As far as I'm aware, the furthest the can has got is Portugal. Because we sell to a wholesaler called Beer Gonzo, and they have a customer in Portugal who buys it off them.
Cool.
So a Kilderkin is 18 gallons, which is twice the size of a normal sort of.
Okay.
Yeah, being Spanish, I have no idea what a gallon is.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it sounds good.
Actually,
it sounds
81 litres.
Gallon sounds like a kind of heavy, like a kind of with weight, like a gallon. It's like the actual word is like a kind of strong, like a. I don't know what you think of the word gallon.
Actually, in our first podcast, someone told us what a gallon was. We had this very issue. One of the
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, go and listen to the first
So surely it's been litres for a hell of a long time in Spain. Litres and millilitres and kilometres.
Yeah, since not since Napoleon, but close to, probably. Yeah.
Since when?
Napoleon.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, Napoleon, when they
We have
invaded
a totally
Spain,
warped idea of like history in England.
no, but apparently, like a kind of. I was listening to another podcast the other day, and they were talking about that, about like from Napoleon in Spain, and they were saying it was just too easy just to invade and conquer Spain. Spain was just kind of just a land of just completely ignorant people there.
Oh.
I'm not joking. If it is a pub quiz that said when was the milliliter and kilometre or whatever introduced into like
The world.
the canon of maths, I'd be like, I don't know, 1905 or something.
Yeah, probably in those. Well, I mean, they needed it for kind of all the science and
the
everything
UK.
for the.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I didn't realise it was quite when Napoleon, 17th century.
No, 19th century.
Yeah, beginning.
Yeah, beginning, like 1805.
Right. Oh yeah, French Revolution.
Yeah, exactly.
Got you. Right.
Right, so moving away from that. Back to beer and opera.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could next make an opera about the metric system.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
Yeah.
a good idea.
Definitely. A really big kind of niche of people
Yeah.
interested.
Exactly. Yeah, so we're here because we were on the radio, but we only had a really short amount of time to talk on the radio, so we decided
And we're talking about costumes and disguises.
Yeah, you mentioned penguins quite a bit, so yeah, didn't really feel relevant. So what we were saying was that we are in the midst of creating a trilogy of operas about beer with Digbrew and a trilogy of beers at the same time. And it's the first ever opera written about beer, first ever beer created for an opera, well, we think.
Yeah.
We should just keep saying it until someone corrects us.
Yeah.
No, apparently what I've seen is like some opera houses in the USA, they have like a kind of this kind of opera and beer kind of program in which they just go and drink a normal beer, just watching a normal opera. But this is like kind of everything about mixing both.
Oh, yeah.
So, like the first opera about beer and the first beer about opera. The first beers about opera.
Plural.
Yeah.
Certainly. I hadn't ever really considered the beer to be about the opera. I guess in my mind it's still kind of a prop, but it very much kind of connects. I need to choose my words wisely here because I don't want to sound like a complete corporate sponsor, but it connects like the opera to a kind of mercantile reality that exists in Birmingham, and we have to kind of be aware of that if we want it to be in Birmingham. I think that's a good model to then take elsewhere. From like a mercantile point of view, like this, like learning what I've learned through talking to you guys and working with you on the operas has kind of been a massive sort of eye-opener, and it's massively informed kind of conversations that I have within the industry, because the industry is going through a bit of a identity crisis at the moment, and it's something that I'm no longer concerned with, which is nice. And I want, we take a little bit more kind of note making and intelligent being to kind of form that into more of an essay, but there's certainly
what's the crisis that it's going through?
I think the identity crisis is it's within all areas, I think, of beer at the moment, but there's the cutting edge of the two ends. You've got like the most fervent, I think that's a word that makes sense, most aggressively craft beer that is kind of, to a certain extent, inaccessible through its scarcity or through its through the culture that surrounds it and the types of ways in which you're asked to drink it, or find it, or talk about it. And then on the other end, you've got like the aggressively macro, which is where all the money is, and there's this push and pull between the two, and they've both got their own demons, and I guess they're kind of getting closer and closer to one another. So you've got like breweries like Heineken, who are definitely at one end, buying breweries like Beavertown, which used to be over here, and now Beavertown's kind of moved over, and Heineken's, I guess, slightly this way, which is causing kind of rifts over in like camp craft beer, because no one really knows what the kind of moral structure that holds them together anymore is. And the most aggressively craft beer have kind of formed this cocoon, and I'm not against it, but it's a thing of like a super high-end, independently owned craft brewery kind of society, and it's all these breweries that kind of go to all the same festivals, and they collaborate with each other. They're all fantastic breweries, like they're all really, really good. I'm not going to name any names, but everyone's sort of looking over their shoulder as to who's going to get purchased next and what that's going to mean for them. And they're also looking over their other shoulder, which is who's going to be the next brewery that goes like massively hyped as like the bastions of freedom in the beer world. This is who you need to be drinking, and then dropped 6 months later for the next.
Yeah. Sounds a bit like the opera industry.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, like a kind of the contemporary music kind of world as well.
Yeah.
Like it's like a kind of this kind of craft industry, like full of great people, but also that who's gonna be the next one that's gonna be pushed and just put like a kind of in the foreground and give all the attention. And then
once you get there, are you going to be able to sustain it?
yeah, maybe for 6 months, well, not for 6 months, but maybe for a couple of years, until you get a kind of a good position in a university, or you get like a really rich and famous, and everybody's hiring you all the time. But yeah.
But then reframing the concerns of a brewery and me as a brewery owner within a 6,000 year history rather than a 6-month one has been quite liberating, really.
It's quite there's a parallel there between like what happened in this time to women brewing beer as well, and what's happening now to craft brewers. That was I mean, to them it was just like it literally became commercialized, so, and they weren't able to be in control of that aspect. But now it is the craft brewers are commercialized as well, but there's like a higher level of commercialization that they're fighting against now.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I've been speaking. We were at Beer Festival last week, and I was talking about the opera was like my set spiel. So I was talking to a lot of people, and it was interesting to see how many people kind of were like, "Oh yeah, we're on the side of the women that we only just found out about 2 seconds ago." And I'm like, "Well, sort of, but like that was the change from a domestic product for 5,500 years into a commercial product, and like look at us now, like." I change every name of every beer in 5 seconds, and I spend days doing new designs. It's like avant-garde commercialism.
Yeah.
Like we make more labels than Coca-Cola do. We're the kind of illegitimate child of that change.
Yeah.
We're not the saviors. We're
You're like the product of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't help it. It just happened. Happened to everything. It wasn't just beer. But
well, in a way, like Infinite Opera does that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we cannot survive just making like one big production every year, like some companies do, and they have also the kind of their touring productions. We need just to be like creating constantly new productions, new pieces of work, because I mean, it's the way that we need to do.
Exactly.
To keep going.
Yeah.
Do you mind kind of telling me the story in like shorthand about that change? Because the way that I tell the story is that it was realised they could be made money. The church teamed up with the crown. I always say that because it's alliteration. The church and the crown teamed up, discredited the women but why did they have to discredit the women? And then they built this narrative of these brewers sleeping with demons or devils. Is there one devil, multiple demons? Multiple devils.
Yeah.
That picture was kind of even more kind of.
Yeah.
And is that, did they call them witches, or does the word witch come later?
Yeah, they didn't call them witches to start with, but that is what a witch was defined as. So so the word witch came later, but
Right.
they was all part of the same thing, basically. It was the local authorities that really started bringing it in, so maybe that's to do with the crown. And then they teamed up with the church in order to be able to create this image.
And what was it,
Because there was the
1348?
Yes, it all started at the Black Death.
Right. 1348 Licensing Act. So literally that's what it's called.
Yeah, no, there was that, and then there were like a few afterwards, because it happened in like different places around the UK. And it happened all the way up to the end of to like the mid 1500s. So it was happening for quite a long time.
Yeah, I guess news travels slowly.
Yeah.
And then what impact did the Black Death have on the whole thing? Everyone was just more willing to believe stuff was bad. Because obviously it was bad, because everyone was dying.
I mean, I guess churches, they took advantage, and they said, yeah, this is like a kind of God's wrath. That's the fault of a woman, and the fault of all the sinners of the world.
The other thing was it also made beer a more profitable product because it was cleaner. So there was a desire to commercialise it at that point.
And people drink more when times are tough.
Yeah.
I'd imagine. I don't have the data.
Stronger beer.
In a way, in those times, the beer wasn't as strong as now. I guess it was like
it wasn't.
0.5 or 1%,
Yeah.
something like that.
Actually, there are stories of brewsters who were run out of business because they refused to water down their beer, and
Right.
the commercial aspect wanted them to water down the beer.
I see. Well, it's quite a... We have arguments at the brewery about 1 degree changes in mash temperature, which is the temperature of like the porridge-ish stuff that draws the sugar out of the malt. And those 1 degree changes can have big impacts on the amount of alcohol. I don't know how they must have done it with like an open fire, I suppose.
Yeah, it's amazing because they didn't have any thermometers.
Yeah.
So it was a proper craft, I guess, to be able to.
There was a point in the opera when you say you wrote in the script like now all the thing that it has to rest for 2-3 nights.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the cooling process before just starting the fermentation.
Yeah, exactly.
So now that can be done in basically 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. And then lager. I don't know, actually, I have no idea on dates, but it came from Pilsen, which is a place in Czech Republic.
Yeah.
Hence Pilsner. And the story is they left the beer in the cellar of the castle for the winter, and they came back, and it was like, it is good and improved, and that's where lager came from. Definitely, that's something with a bit more research. It is an interesting story there.
Well, beer didn't start coming in to the UK until around, again, this time. And it was still ale was the predominant sold one. Yeah.
So the spiel that I tell people is, and I'll try and change it to be more accurate, is that for the last sort of 6,000 years, beer has been brewed by women, pretty much for the entirety of it, and it only changed in medieval England when it was realised that there was money to be made in beer and it became commercialised, and there was a licensing act in like the late 14th century, and that stipulated that only men could hold the licence. That's where this change came, and in order to discredit the women, who were very, very important parts of the community because they made this beer that was cleaner than water, they had to kind of like play it dirty, so they spread rumours that they were in cahoots and they were sleeping with devils. They shouldn't be trusted, and it was kind of easy to say they shouldn't be trusted because no one really understood what fermentation was. So it was like, you can't trust these people because they're magic. And then our understanding of what the witch is comes from that, and our understanding of what the witch looks like comes from the fact that they were wearing tall black hats to tell everybody in the town or village or whoever that they were the brewer, and that's who you went to speak to. And when they had beer that was left over to sell, they put a broomstick outside their front door, and that's the witch's broomstick, and then the cauldron is what they make the beer in. That's what I tell people. But then you also said that they put the broomstick in the beer, and that's what kind of held the yeast. Is that?
Oh,
have I made that up?
Yeah, I don't think I said that.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think that was the magic in that. I mean, they didn't know that the bacteria was in the air.
They couldn't cultivate yeast and like dry it
No.
and vacuum seal it and put it in a fridge like we do. They
No,
moved it from one beer to the other beer.
Yeah.
Was that with a broomstick?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I mean, in a way, it's like a kind of the sourdough. In a way, they had like their own kind of yeast, kind of probably in those kind of jars of like a kind of creepy creatures. That it was actually
they did trade yeasts across like they went to the ports to get yeasts from like other countries and stuff. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
So, yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah. We haven't got much more time, but then obviously we need to, I think, talk about the final beer is named Dark Abbess.
Yes.
Which is the name of a witch.
Not a witch. An abbess who was Hildegard von Bingen.
Okay.
And I think that's
that was the inspiration there. Like
yeah, because she brewed a lot, and she discovered this was in like the 12th century. She discovered that.
I should know that.
Yeah. No, it was in the 13th century. It was in 12 or something. Wasn't it? Yeah. So she discovered that hops would help to purify the beer.
Yeah.
And then
To make it last longer and to make it like healthier.
yeah, exactly. She also wrote the first like
Kind of opera in a way. It's
Yeah.
kind of this kind of a theater morality plays that they did in the medieval ages, like a kind of I'm gonna tell you that the devil is bad and the kind of heaven is good and everything like that.
yeah.
That's amazing.
But what she did for first time was just do everything like a kind of a completely sung. So it's like kind of the first kind of opera in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. She just did loads of stuff.
Yeah.
She wrote about everything really.
Maybe we should do another podcast about her,
Yeah, we should.
we should,
There's
yeah.
so much to say about her. Yeah.
especially since hops are like
Yeah, the last one.
the thing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Um,
There's a whole Facebook page about her. It's like full of memes.
Oh yeah.
really?
Yeah.
I discovered that the other day. It's like basically it's a Facebook page that tells you every day the kind of health status of Hildegard von Bingen, and every single day they say she's dead, she's still dead. Yeah. Good morning, Hildegard von Bingen is still dead. And then on April's Fool they say, oh, she's alive, but of course it was April's Fool.
Oh right, okay.
So thank you.
So
Yeah.
do we have to do something to round? Do we have to conclude?
Well, so we said something about the opera. I think we didn't really
Oh, yeah,
say anything about the opera.
Yeah, so it's coming up on next Friday. It's the second part of the opera.
Yeah, part two.
Yep, which is called Rye, and there'll be a beer with that called Maleficarum, which is
Maleficarum.
the Latin term for witch. And then so,
If you came to the first one, everything's gonna get really dark,
yeah,
but still kind of quite funny.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
in
the
the first
12th of April
Yeah.
at 8 p.m.
Yes.
exactly.
Digbrew.
And also the beer is like going with the story, so every beer is like getting more
More
bitter.
So
and more-
Maleficarum is a pale ale that's going to be canned on the 11th, the Thursday before. So it's going to be extremely fresh.
Great.
And then the final part is the 10th of May, and we're doing a beer, secret style of beer.
Shall be
for that.
revealed. Yeah,
I mean,
so
we have-
it's
we
just
have
called
the
the
name.
Dark Abbess. So
Yeah.
It's going to be called
Yeah.
Dark Abbess.
Yeah.
Which is quite funny because the main character of the opera is called Bess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Dark Abbess.
Oh, is that where the name?
Yeah.
I mean, this is just a horrible joke.
There's so many layers.
Yeah.
I'd like to do this podcast again. I'm going to say it on camera, so you awkwardly have to agree.
Yeah. With another beer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Great.
So yeah,
Brilliant.
see you all. If anybody's listening to this, just see you on the 12th of April.
12th of April.
Yeah.
Get tickets on Eventbrite, social media.
Yeah,
And
arrive
there's a
early
party
to
afterwards
avoid.
with Roman candles as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Party with Roman candles until late.
Yeah.
It will be full from about 7:30. And we have space for 50 walk-ins only. And if you miss that, you will have to sit in the foyer and listen to the opera. You won't be able to watch it.
And it's
And
cold
that's
there.
your fault.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but in sittings we're gonna be able to have like a kind of around 150, something like that.
Well, so far we've sold 150 tickets.
Yeah.
There's another 50 to be sold. I mean, at last count.
Yeah.
And then we're doing 50 walk-ins. That's 250, which we have enough tables and chairs for. But
Yeah.
after that, people are going to have to be disappointed.
Yes.
You
That's
just
it.
have to come next time we do it.
Yeah. Oh, we'll need to do it again.
Yeah.
In Valencia.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, in Spain, in France as well. You have like
France.
some places in France.
Yeah.
Well, we need to organize that thing with the garage brewery. I need to contact them, send them the
Garage, yeah, in Barcelona. Mothership in southeast London.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that one's for August. Could be a kind of a good
Mhm.
place.
Yeah.
Oh, the beer festival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be
We should
great.
Contact also Tete a Tete,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
opera festival, to see if
We're going to a brewery called De Prof in Belgium soon. Don't know when, but we are. And it's just like I'll mention it, but it's such an exciting thing. I'm sure mentioning it is enough to kind of do some stuff.
Yeah. So basically, in the conclusion, we just started a new whole topic.
A whole new
again.
topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, basically the idea is like I kind of just keep like a look in social media so you can know what's gonna. Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Good. So I think we should cut
Should we
now.
round it up? Should we do a cheers?
Yeah,
Let's do
I think
cheers.
that's good. Yeah.
It is 12 p.m.
Kilder is open now.
Yeah, Kilder is now open, and
And this is over.
Yeah,
this is
I mean, this is gonna be edited today and maybe just posted tomorrow on Saturday. I don't know when. So I mean, Kilder was open on today's Thursday, right? Yeah.
Kilder is open. I'll do the full thing.
I did want to say as well that beer wasn't like always non-commercialised, even when it was brewed by women. It's just that it was a patriarchal society at that time, which meant that women weren't allowed to take those roles.
Yeah, I know they accidentally shouldn't have had any success,
Yeah,
and they
exactly.
would have been able to carry on.
Whereas in like Sumeria or ancient Egypt, there were a lot of matriarchal societies, so women were allowed to like run beer businesses, and they did. So,
Bloody Europeans.
yeah.
Probably in the Basque Country as well, the Astures, in Asturias and the Basque Country, they had also some matriarchal societies,
Yeah.
and that's why there's now the kind of this stereotype in Spain, like a kind of the moms in that place of Spain, they're like a super strong and super like a kind of the chief of the family in a
Yeah.
way. So there's still a bit of a.
Well, let's do a podcast about Dark Abyss and about correct the inaccuracies of women were brewing beer and making money throughout history in Sumeria, etc.
Yeah, because
It's
it's because we see it from a patriarchal, like we see history in a patriarchal view, so we're just like, oh, women never did that.
Yeah, basically because history was written by men, basically.
Yeah.
Kilder is open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Great.
Okay, I think
More detailed information on google.com.
Yeah, I've never been here before. It's great here.
Yeah.
You never been here before?
No,
Oh.
I didn't even know it was here.
I've seen some Instagram that they have like a kind of amazing kind of grilled cheese kind of
Yeah,
toast
yeah,
and
yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
I want to try that.
It
So they've got
looks
like
fun.
amazing charcuterie and grilled cheese sandwiches and craft beer.
Perfect.
No Digbrew beers, but
Yeah. True.
Soon.
What's going on there?
they probably can't afford them.
Oh, okay.
No joking. No. They get beers from all around the world, really.
This orange sour is really nice, actually.
Oh, we got Twisted Barrel.
Yeah, Twisted Barrels in Cov.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we need to talk to them.
Yeah, you
Well,
sent an
we
email.
talked to them already, but we need to organize something.
We got one called Schrodinger's cat.
Bloody fridge.
Yes.
Cool.
Right.
Right.
So how many times have we tried to finish this podcast?
I think it's over now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Going out in 3, 2, 1. It's over now.
It's over. Can we make a fake advert? You know, like on podcasts when the presenter of the podcast reads an advert.
Yeah? Should we do that now?
No, we can't. I'll prepare something for it. We'll
Oh,
do an
okay.
advert for Digbrew.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Good.